went, Carol McGiffin went. It feels Phillip Schofield was protected. You went, Jeremy Kyle went, Piers Morgan went, Carol McGiffin went. It feels like if anyone questions Carolyn McCall's woke narrative, they're out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd say there's absolutely no question about that. They like a certain order, even if that order is corrupt. Doesn't matter if they're bending the rules or breaking the rules, but as long as they instigate lockdown, then it's their way or the highway. But I mean, none of them are even honest. I mean, McCall never, even though the order came from her to get rid of me through her lackey, Emma Gormley. There's never a reason given. They can't be upfront about it.
Well, Phillip Schofield's exit from ITV seemed to be having interesting conversations, after the exit. Well, we have brought you a lot of report about Phillip Schofield's exit, but looks like day in, day out, a lot of expose keeps coming. But did you really know the whistleblower behind this expose of Phillip Schofield's affair that happened, at the ITV, franchise, and who this particular young boy was? Now, a lot has been happening. Well, this time, the whistleblower apparently is in the limelight now and is still talking. We'll find out who it is very soon. But this is the Literacy of Pinax News. For more news, please do well to like our platform. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's very important to get yourself abreast with the latest from the world of art and entertainment. So apparently, Phillip Schofield exit from ITV seemed to still be the hot cake, that mainly have been talking about. Now, majority have had their own sentiment about it, with some blaming Holly or saying that Holly or some of the ITV personalities, including Holly Willoughby, knew something about it. But she also came out saying that she knew nothing about what Phillip Schofield had done in the past and what really he was still doing. Now, in an interview recently, Danny Martin apparently exposed Phillip Schofield, but we will check that interview. I will come back and also play you an extensive version of an expose someone apparently had, with the media, apparently citing a lot of happenings behind closed doors that many of us never knew or anticipated about. Well, let's check out, this interview by Dan Wootton, apparently, who was granted an interview recently. Now, this interview has sparked a lot of conversation going on social media. Do watch a glimpse of it.
So, Carol, look, we're going to talk about this extraordinary interview with Phillip Schofield in just a moment. But I think the first thing that is really important to ask you about is the fact that this runner was put on your show, Loose Women. And is it true that they actually had to sack another young male runner in order to give him the job?
Whether they had to or not, I don't know, but they did. And everybody was really quite upset about it because, everybody loved him and he was a great runner. But I think he was actually a runner. But then one day, I wasn't there a lot of the time. I used to get all my information from everybody else. One day I got a text message and it was from the young man in question. And he said, I'm the new production secretary at Loose Women. I thought, hang on a minute, what's happened here? I didn't even know that Mitch had gone at the time.
So Mitch was the previous runner, and I remember him. He was a great guy.
He was a great boy, yeah.
And for some reason he goes.
He disappeared.
And in comes this new runner.
Yeah.
Who, it was rumoured, was having a relationship with Phillip Schofield.
Yes, which I didn't know at the time, but then gradually, as he'd been there for a little bit of time, it was quite obvious. As Eamon said the other night, he was a bit troubled. He was quite troubled. And some of the other Loose Women, I'm pretty sure, kind of sensed that, probably had a little bit of parental power and sensed that he was in a bit of a bad way and kind of, not coached him, but tried to comfort him. And I think that he began to open up to some of them. And this was the first time that I found this out. I didn't know anything about it before that. I've not ever been part of This Morning. I was only ever part of Loose Women, and only from 2018 as well. So, and he turned up in, I think, quite early 2019. And I thought, well, I knew there was something wrong. Everybody knew there was something wrong. And when people around ITV say, oh, we didn't know anything about it, you did. Everybody did. I mean, everybody knew. And you can still say it's a rumour because no one's actually confirmed it. Well, Phillip has confirmed it now and is now coming across as though he's protesting too much, like I'm innocent. I'm not innocent. I'm the guilty party. And as Sean just said, actually, and I said this earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if they'd all got together and said, right, you take the hit, Phillip, and he's covering everybody else because I'm absolutely convinced they covered all that up and they knew exactly what was going on because the way it was engineered, you knew there was something going on straight away.
Now, Carol, I spoke to numerous Loose Women at the time who told me off the record they were very angry to be put in the position of having to work with Phillip Schofield's young lover because they felt that it put them in an unfair position because he was going through a lot at the time. There were a lot of issues, won't go into what the issues were, but there were issues with this guy and they thought it was highly unfair that they were almost having to deal with Phillip Schofield's mess. Did you feel that at all?
Well, I didn't because I wasn't there enough, but and also I'm not, you know me, I'm not very sensitive to people. Yeah, I just think, oh, if someone's got a problem, it's not mine. Which is a little bit selfish, I know. But there are very sort of empathetic people working on Loose Women, and they did kind of take him under their wing, and it wasn't right that they had to do that because I think it was Eamon who said the other night that he was just literally hoisted upon another show and called it a promotion. So yeah, his title did change. It was production secretary rather than runner as it was before. But
he was doing exactly the same job.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually a promotion, was it? They engineered a job move.
I think he was doing, because apparently it was reported that he was Phillip's PA as well as the runner. And this is how, they became so close. So he was kind of, booking travel and doing other things.
But then he disappears one day, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, as far as I know, one day there was somebody new in the job, and I'm like, well, changing every 5 minutes. And someone just said to me, well, the young man who was Phillip's lover went up to Manchester to work for ITV. So I'm thinking, well, there was no real notice of that. There wasn't like, oh, I'm leaving, I'm going to Manchester, or I don't know, maybe I just missed it, but it was kind of strange that then suddenly he disappeared and he'd gone up to Manchester, and I don't think many people heard from him since. And there were some people on Loose Women, some women who were really worried about him, actually.
Yeah, they were.
And he was in a bad way. I saw him out a few times, and you could just tell that he was probably having a bit of a breakdown at the time.
No, absolutely, and there were a lot of the women who were worried about them. Some of them stayed in touch. Some of them tried to help them find work and that sort of thing. But that's where the anger came from, because they thought this was a mess created by Phillip Schofield, and it was unfair that
they were having to deal with it.
And the other point is, Carol, and I think this is where the cover-up comes in. There's no way that this guy could have moved from This Morning to Loose Women without the go-ahead from a senior executive, the head of daytime at ITV, because the editors of the individual shows can't just move a staff member. That's not how it works. There has to be approval from higher up, doesn't there? Absolutely
there does. And the bosses are like, you wouldn't just take on a member of staff from another production if you didn't want them. You'd be thinking that you would have to get someone because there was nothing wrong with the guy who was doing the job before. So of course, there had to be some shenanigans going on above everybody else who was working on the show, above the production team, and nobody nobody really knew and nobody was really saying. It's just like, well, you know, he's been promoted from this morning. So obviously, my beef is with the management, really.
Yeah.
Because
me too.
Because if Phillip is covering for them now, and I'm pretty certain that he's trying to take the fall for them all. The way I see it, they're so arrogant. Most TV bosses are the same. They're really arrogant. They think they're invincible, and they just think, right, oh, let's just carry on, move along, put Holly back on the show. Let's just, you know, get back to normal, and everything will be all right. Yeah. Phillip's apologised, and it's all going to be okay. But it's not going to be okay.
No,
it's
and that
not
was
enough.
The extraordinary thing. We all knew it wasn't going to be okay. We all knew this would happen.